Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert. And I'm joined once again. The man returns. JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
Oh, it's okay. Just had a meet tonight, so kind of tired. Looking very forward to these finals coming up. So I'm wiped, man.
Yeah, I bet, man. We're actually starting later than usual, but it was cool. I got a little bit of extra time with the family
Appreciate
tonight,
it.
so that was good. No, it's all good. But we had a fun we got a fun show to review, at least the fun main event to
Yeah.
review. The rest of it was pretty wonky. But before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to our friend Josh Nason from the Wrestling Observer newsletter website. He has a radio show on that network called Josh Nason's Punch Out, and for whatever reason, he reached out to me and asked me to be on his show. And so we actually recorded a couple of days ago. We did about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and we talked about all the big stories for the month of June, man. And it was a lot of fun.
June?
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
So what
Is that
he's
how it
doing
works?
is, yeah, he brings on a different guest,
Okay.
and he goes through all the big stories in the month of June. Can off the top of your head, what was probably the biggest story that started in the month of June?
Was that when the broke?
The Vince McMahon thing broke. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, yeah. So he brought on his least famous guest for the most famous story. So we
When
we talked about that.
did it get
Go
posted
ahead.
yet?
No, it hasn't been posted yet. He said probably
Okay.
maybe tomorrow. Yeah, but because he just did the May one, so he's posting since it's like evergreen content. It's not really time sensitive. So he
Makes
said
sense.
probably by the end of the week it'll be out. Yeah, but that was a
Cool.
lot of fun, man. It was really cool to talk to Josh. As everybody knows, we kind of were fans of the Observer, and we read the recaps there every week. And our buddy Josiah typically does the recaps, but he got that gig because of Josh Nason. So Josh hooks a lot of people up, man, with all kinds of cool content.
That's awesome. I've never listened to a show before. I definitely have to with you're gonna be on. So.
Yeah. If you've never listened to it, so you have to be a subscriber to the Wrestling Observer.
Check.
That's yeah, that's a must, and so you're already there. So should be good to go there. Sorry, I have to get off of their website right now though, because I don't know what's going on. So there are pop-ups on that website that drag my computer speed down big time. So
Are you
I
sure? Are you sure you're not on Pro Wrestling Insider? Or
No, I'm
yeah,
not.
it's a
So, and it's
yeah.
really, how like on PW Insider where they have like 10,000 pop-ups,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually just one pop-up on the Observer. And whenever I click off of it, it still takes data in the back. So I got the notification like, hey, this website is using a bunch of your memory, whatever the fuck that means. So I had to get off of the website. So but so sorry, Josiah, I can't use your recap tonight. I gotta have somebody turn on a pop-up blocker. I'm stupid. I'll have to look that up.
Old Dave Shear's site looks like a Angel Fire site from 1999 with all that
Yeah.
spam and grossness and the not the Observer site.
It,
That site's great. Are we like talking? I
no,
feel like there's a delay.
Yeah, so that's why I got off of that site because there was
Oh, okay.
there was a little bit of a delay there. Yeah, so we will get this figured out. But
Okay.
I think we're gonna go. Hey, so before we get into the recap, I thought this was a pretty interesting story. This is not breaking news, but Josh Alexander, the star of the show, he did an interview with Chris Van Vliet. Chris Van Vliet, CVV himself, dude. That dude
CVV.
has interviewed he's interviewed everybody, man. Every top star. He's interviewed The Rock. Stone Cold, just all up and down. He's done a lot of interviews for Impact. Well, he interviewed Josh Alexander this week, and they got into his free agency from earlier this year when he left Impact, and it was like legit that his contract expired, and he actually had an offer on the table from AEW, but he ended up turning them down and said that he wanted to stay with Impact. He actually turned down an offer from AEW, which it doesn't seem like a lot of people are doing these days. If the,
So it's interesting because we talked about this on the show. Um, the first Chicago Dynamite of the year, the one from February, which actually wound up being a pretty noteworthy show in retro, even though the show did terrible ratings. It was the
yeah,
first. It was like the first one that hit the 800,000s this year. That was the show that MJF beat CM Punk, and it was also the final appearance of Brandy Rhodes,
yeah,
and she came out during Ethan Page's deal and mentioned they only talked to him to get close to Josh. And we did at one of our clickbaity, segments. I remember talking about, oh, we're going to play this up because we didn't think there was anything to it. But because again, that was the last time Brandy was on Dynamite. Her and Cody were literally out the very next week.
Mhm.
It's interesting because I'm willing to bet that maybe there is something. Mike just texted me that my microphone is not connected and I have to fix this. Stand by.
I was trying not to interrupt your thing, but
I looked at my camera and I'm like, oh crap. Is that better now, Mike?
That's better, yeah. Sorry.
Guess what the video teacher forgot to do? He forgot to plug in his microphone before the show started. As I said,
I was trying to be like a professional and not call you out on it. I sent you a private message.
Oh no, it's too. Oh no, you bury me. In this case, this is burial territory. Bro, I'll be honest with you. I'm having a terrible day today. Like we have 2 weeks before our finals and we have a big project and it was an absolute disaster today.
Ugh.
So I have to go to work. We have a quad on Saturday and I have a little kids tournament on Sunday with my son. It'll be his first one of the year. I have to go to work both of those days to catch up so my kids don't fail their final.
Oh my God.
And then my team wrestled terrible tonight. Like, please don't clip this. I want them to hear this. But we won handily, but we should have won more than handily. And we were So and now I come home and I'm the same way. I'm a professional video teacher, 20 years in the business. I didn't plug in my freaking microphone. So this guy is having a day, let me tell you. So I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. You were talking about Josh Alexander and Brandy Rhodes' last appearance on AEW Dynamite, teasing that they were in negotiations with Josh.
Which apparently was true. They were trying to negotiate, which I didn't think that was real at the time. We were just playing it up. But apparently they really were trying to get, and again, why wouldn't they? Josh Alexander rules. Here's a question. Do you think he took less money to stay with Impact?
So probably like overall, just because Impact works a lot less dates, but there have been rumors out there that Impact has been competing with AEW on per date fees. Like so Andrade, for instance, was the big name that they actually matched AEW's offer per date. But AEW is offering just so many more dates because they run weekly and sometimes twice a week. That the total value at the end of the year ended up being quite a bit more. So I think absolutely Impact probably, and I don't think Josh was probably getting that big of an offer from AEW because, he's a big star in Impact, but he wasn't really an established, big time star just yet. So he was probably getting one of those Ethan Page kind of middle tier deals. And I think absolutely Impact probably were able to match that. And then he's like, well, so what? And one of the reasons why he said that he was going to stay in Impact, he goes, he kind of seen what had been happening in AEW, where a lot of people are getting brought in all at once. They get focused on for a couple of weeks and then they get forgotten about, and then they get brought back and they get forgotten about again, which is kind of what happens when you stockpile a lot of talent, which is what they have been doing. And WWE has been doing it too. And it's really, Impact has really seen the brunt of that, the brunt of them doing that. But he said he saw that and he felt comfortable staying with Impact, and that's why he stayed. And I think he made the right decision.
I think so too.
Yeah. If he's happy with the money he's getting, he absolutely made the right decision. Plus, he gets to control his own. He gets to control his own independent dates. So
yeah, which is always a good thing too. Especially, I think there's a lot more value to Josh Alexander as the Impact World Champion going to independent shows than just Josh Alexander on his own. I think there is. I think his stock has significantly increased this year. I think he gambled on himself, right? And some people are like, oh, you want to be the biggest, how's that phrase go? The biggest fish in the small pond, or whatever. Like I think in this case, I think that's a great way to up your stock is to prove to be the top dog in a place. And then should the time come to move on, you can move on. Although I don't see a reason why they wouldn't want to hang out to Josh as long as humanly possible. And same with Josh. I think that I think he's a cornerstone in this promotion now. And I think they kind of need him because, like we talked about, both companies are in a spending freeze. It sounds like we're going to get some type of a rollout of Ring of Honor. And I
Mhm.
think that both company and Triple H keeps bringing back people that had a cup of coffee in his promotion. So I think that they're going to have to Impact specifically is going to have to do what they can to try to keep hold of people, including people who shouldn't be pushed. More on that later.
Yeah. Yeah. So they actually did sign somebody new, and that announcement came out earlier this week, but we'll talk about that on the Patreon. Because I have some thoughts there, and I have a lot of thoughts that I'm going to reserve for Patreon. But we'll go ahead and get into the show. Like I said, for the most part, it was kind of a nothing show other than the main event, which is pretty similar to last week, where it was kind of a ho hum show, and then you got to the main event of Deonna Purrazzo and Mickey James, and then they killed it. And so I get the feeling, and I don't know this for a fact, but there were not a lot of matches in that second Louisville taping. I think that there's a reason why a lot of people miss those tapings, and I don't know why. Maybe there was an illness going around, maybe there was a bug going around, or maybe they decided just to not bring a lot of people. But I think there's absolutely a reason why Speedball and Alexander went 60 minutes, and Mickey James and Deonna Purrazzo went another 30 minutes, and why there's a lot more vignettes and skits in the background
So
filling up these two episodes.
so let's do some mainlander talk, Mike. I know you're off on
Yeah,
your island
yeah.
paradise, which is not covered in lava. Thank you very
No,
much.
no, I am lava free, by the way. Thank you for the 2 dozen people that asked.
I'm on like 2 or 3 different message chains with Mike, and he has a graphic ready to go if anyone
Yeah,
asks if he's okay. So it's always entertaining. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff going around right now that's not just COVID. It's like this is
yeah,
the first year that everyone's decided, okay, we're gonna really go back to normal, no strings attached, and all the old bugs were just like, yep, we're still around. There's really bad
dude.
RSV right now. There's really bad cases of
Yes,
flu. My 182 pounder, I haven't seen. We had a big tournament last weekend out in Iowa. I haven't seen him all week. He's been home sick all week.
yeah.
My wife is super sick right now. My kid was hacking up a lung at wrestling practice last night. Like, there's a lot happening. So it would not surprise me if a lot of people were sick. And if you're sick, stay home. Don't make other people sick.
Yeah, yeah. So I had COVID, and then immediately after my daughter got RSV, and that was
Oof,
her second time getting RSV.
really?
So maybe she's prone to it. I don't know, but it was her second time, and and she's in preschool. She goes to preschool 3 days a week now, and so kids are just little money grubbing disease vectors, is what they are. They
No
just
kidding.
they just constantly getting each other sick, and then constantly getting me sick. In fact, the reason why I got COVID a second time is because I was holding a baby, a cute little shit that ended up having COVID. And every time I see him, I was like, "Oh, you gave me COVID, but you're so damn cute. I'm gonna pick you up anyway."
See, I've always
So
said you can't trust babies.
no,
Can't
nope,
trust them.
no, they're freeloading disease vectors, but they're cute as hell, and you can't stay away from them.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go to, so I guess on BTI, Trey Miguel, he defeated Jason Hodge, and that was talking BTI. Thank you, folks.
They're
Thank you for
trying.
talking BTI with us.
They're
Yeah,
trying.
they're trying. Jason Hodge, he's so John Muse, our buddy John Muse, big fan of Jason Hodge. So
Big
he is
Jason Hotch guy.
yeah. After the match, Trey Miguel actually spray painted Jason Hodge, spray painted his Trey Miguel logo on him. That's his new deal. So he's doing some NWO ish type of stuff.
It's very, very 96 of old Trey
Yeah,
Miguel.
yeah, yeah. So the show starts off. Dina was on screen to begin the match, saying the following: "I will walk the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil." He then
Another
said
one.
that Violent by Design was not a faction, a group, but rather a movement led by a designer. That designer is now Cody Diener. So I think they're calling him the designer. Said that the movement has been reborn and cleansed in blood of the designer. Diener called out Sammy Callahan and dared him to confront him and his stablemates, Alan Angels and Khan. So the Violent by Design is now called the Design, and I believe Diener is now called the Designer. Actually, I can't remember if they called him Diener or Designer tonight on the TV. I can't remember, but so that's what we're looking at now.
You know what pro wrestling needs? More guys who talk in long-winded soliloquies that don't mean anything because we don't have enough of them. Now we have Malachi Black back in AEW doing his whole, Bray
Mhm.
Wyatt knockoff spiel where you just go on being verbose for minutes upon minutes of time. And now we have one in Impact.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. God, I hate this.
Maybe Bray Wyatt, Malachi Black, and now Diener will all meet up one day and start their own wrestling promotion. Well, they were just talking nonsensically for minutes on end and never really do anything.
I wish we planned that bit beforehand because there's a control your narrative joke that I can't find at the moment. That's there. That if we had practiced this, we could have nailed it. But
I
this is what
know. Yeah,
happens.
we don't. Yeah, you were too busy. We couldn't practice. So.
I have a job. Pardon me.
That's true. Yeah. After the promo, Hannafin and Ray Walt welcomed everybody. And then we go to our first match. We got Heath and Rhino versus the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. A decent little match. It was, good match. These guys are all pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
But the match was a no contest because the major players interfered, taking out both Heath and I believe Alex Shelley. Took out both Heath and Alex Shelley. No, it was Chris Sabin. Sorry. And looks like it's probably going to be setting up some type of a three-way at the pay-per-view.
It's Impact. That's what we do. I'm not going to fight. I'm not even going to fight anymore. It's what we do. It's fine.
Yeah. It's I don't know. They have 3 tag teams, so now they got to try to get them all intertwined at some point, I guess. So
I can't. Okay. I don't love this, but when you're like, it's almost payday and you open up the pantry and you look and you're like, we have the elements of food, but not actual food. Like I can just open up a jar of peanut butter and eat straight out of the jar of peanut butter right now. Like, and that's kind of how I feel. But then you get to the point like, oh, I don't even have peanut butter. Maybe I'll just eat chocolate chips. That's kind of how I feel we are right now. The cupboard's a little bare and you can't complain about things.
No. So it's like you kind of want to like be mad at Impact for some of the booking and some of the talent they're using, but you got to use what you can at this point. Since August, they've lost so many people, and now they're just bringing in all these new people all the time, and they're trying to get them spun up and get them TV time. And so you got to do it. So look, I don't hate that they're doing a 3-way here, and honestly, the 3-way might end up being pretty good because look who's. I mean, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are in it. And I think that they'll probably make it a decent match.
Like, you've also got to sell pay-per-views, right? And like,
we're way beyond ever doing that again.
in theory, we have to give people a reason to watch pay-per-views. So we need to load up as much talent as we possibly can. I mean, like, I can't say anything ill of this booking right now. We're rubbing sticks together to make fire.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe at the upcoming tapings, maybe we'll see some more debuts. Or last year after Hard to Kill, I mean, that's when they brought in a ton of people. And maybe we'll get something like that. The Honor No More, and they brought in Jonathan Gresham, and they brought in quite a few. But none of those people are available.
There's a reason for that. A promotion closed down about 1 year ago that left a lot of people looking for work.
Well, maybe MLW will finally go out of business, and then we'll get a bunch of people over on Impact.
So Court's got to be independently wealthy, right? Because like there's so many people that are on that show that could be working other places. Again, Josh, the Alexander Hammerstone and Josh would be a great television match if we ever got the chance to see it.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm joking just because I'm still salty that MLW has blocked me and Court Bauer has blocked me. But hey, I got to give them credit. I like the current angle that they're doing with EJ and Duca, the judge, and Alexander Hammerstone. I'm gonna watch that match whenever it comes out. So I'm interested in that.
Do you hear about Richard Holiday?
Let's save that for the Patreon. That was on my list.
Patreon?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We have no notes. We
real
this.
Yeah. No, I did hear about that, but so I know I made fun. I don't want MLW to actually go out of business. In fact, actually, I think next month they're bringing in John Morrison. So there you go. Obviously his independent rate has gone down a little bit. So it was the result was a no contest. Heath and Rhino are still Impact Tag Champions. And then Scott D'Amore was backstage. He was confronted by Josh Alexander. saying that he was Scott D'Amore saying that he was a fool for trusting Tommy Dreamer.
Well,
D'Amore asked him if he had to take the approach, but Alexander emphasized that he had to. Before going to the ring, Zicky Dice and Johnny Swinger were backstage with D'Amore and asked for a title match, but D'Amore told Swinger to win 50 matches and he would get it. They totally missed the boat on this. We need Josiah's recap back. Fightful screwed this up because he comes into the scene on his little cart thing being pushed by Zicky Dice, and he tells D'Amore, he goes, "Come on, D'Amore, I'm all gassed up. Let's get me a title shot."
They missed an opportunity to work some like Tales of the Territory stuff in with Swinger, right? Because like that's his show, right? Like it just there's yeah,
Yeah.
he's the best. Like every
He
week,
is.
I just want one run with the swing, man. You know, like one. I just put the digital media title on him for just a little bit because it'll be really funny.
Yeah. Next, we go to another skit. Impact Knockouts champion Jordan Grace and Mickey James are doing a photo shoot to promote their title versus career match at Hard to Kill. And then during the photo shoot, they actually had them do a face-off, and I thought this was actually pretty cool, pretty interesting. Where they're doing a face-off, and then they're holding the title up, and then they started talking trash to each other for real, and it started to get a little bit heated. I'm like, that's cool. I like that because in the UFC and in boxing, they always bring them up and they're like, they talk all this trash and press conferences and stuff like that and through media, but then they have them doing these photo shoots and they're all amicable, they're friends and stuff like that. So I like it that in wrestling we did something similar, but they still kept the heat. I thought that was cool.
No, I agree. And I don't know if I've ever seen an angle. Like I can't think of one off the top of my head. Right?
I don't think so.
Because we've been saying get away from the contract signing, get away from the contract signing, do something different. This was different. This made sense. Like this was creative. Like what a cool environment to do something like this. I'm a big fan. Like a photo shoot. Like I like this. Just like in theory. The execution was actually really good too. But just the theory of like, hey, like let's take the typical tropey pro wrestling confrontation thing, but do it in a unique environment. But you're 100% right, because we see these type of things all the time in combat sports, and you're right, everyone's all cool there. But then my favorite thing is when they do the press conference and they do the nose to nose thing, and it looks like they're about to make out because they get so damn close where their noses are pushing up to each other. That's always awkward. But anyways, this was a good scene. I really like this. Mickey gonna win?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. We'll get into that in our preview of Hard to Kill coming up in a few weeks. But yeah, no, I'm totally picking Mickey. I don't see her retiring.
Oh,
No way.
CM Punk's out there, doing Instagram pictures with her. So, I see it too.
CM Punk did an Instagram picture with Mickey?
Yeah, did you see it? He posted a picture of he posted a picture of him and Festus, and then he posted another one with him and Mickey James. So Mickey, by the way, looks the exact same as she did like 17 years ago. It's wild. But yeah. Phil
Milky Dreams looks great.
Okay, that was great. I read that in the chat, and I'm trying not to get in trouble at work, and I just about laughed my ass off at that.
Yeah. So is Punk coming to Impact? Should we clip this part and do the headline? Punk teases Impact.
All right, that's even lowbrow for us.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna tweet the graphic, of course. I gotta keep the gimmick alive.
Gotta keep the gimmick alive. Like, and then get everybody mad when they click on it and figure, oh, they're not talking about that.
Right. So Savannah Evans with Tasha Steelz took on Taya Valkyrie with Jessica and Rosemary, the Death Dolls. Okay, match. Taya Valkyrie ended up losing here, which I thought was kind of weird. I was surprised. But hey, Tasha Steelz re-signed with the company. She's not going anywhere, so that was good news. So maybe they're going to try to get behind Evans and Steelz here, man. So Evans got the big victory over Taya, Taya's a star and took the L here. So I like this. I like Evans winning here.
This show has always said that Tasha Steelz was probably going to stick around Impact. We never floated theories that she was probably bound for other companies. We knew that she wasn't ever going to go anywhere. Like,
no, we're not the type of guys that uses, deductive reasoning, right? And noticing that like 10 people are leaving all at the same time. So you naturally assumed that Tasha would be one of those people. We weren't those guys. We had hope. We had faith. We always knew Tasha was going to stick around.
Especially when she did like 6 or 7 jobs in a row. Like we would never speculate on someone leaving in that case.
It was just, we didn't understand the long-term booking of pinning your former champion 6, 7 times in a row when her contract's about to expire. We just didn't understand what they were doing. They were building a star. Yeah.
See, they're playing 4D chess and we're out here playing tiddlywinks, man. No, of course not. I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I thought she was gone.
Yeah. Dude, she was tweeting pictures from AEW crowds and tweeting pictures with her and all the AEW. And I don't know if she was using that as like a negotiation tactic, but I'm glad she's staying because I think that she's better off here than if she were to go to AEW right now. If Impact matched the money, she's definitely better off here.
Meet the old work, same as the new work. Hey man, in these trying times, when the economy can be sketchy, you use everything to your advantage, including, hey, I have friends over here. So good for her. I hope she got paid a lot or reasonable,
Yeah, me too. Then there was a really cool vignette of the Bullet Club's Ace Austin and Chris Bay from their excursion in New Japan. They're currently 6-2 in the best of the Super Juniors World. All right, no, Super Juniors World Tag League, not best of the Super Juniors, which I think Austin is in that again this year. But so they're 6-2 in the Junior Tag League, man. So have you been able to catch any of that?
I have not. I'm not. No. My wrestling watching is like plummeting. It's work to get anything, and I've just been following stuff online. They're doing well. Right? Like, I thought they'd have more of a collapse at this point, but they haven't like collapsed. No, they're staying strong.
In fact, they're heading towards kind of the finals there. They could be in the final teams there. So
because that Gato booking usually with the Gaijins is they come out super strong and then they kind of fade toward the end. Moxley at the 2019 G1 being a perfect example of that, which I kind of thought was going to happen with these two, but maybe they win. I don't think that's crazy to say that.
I don't think that's crazy at all. And in fact, I think that they should win. I think they should win. And then they could set up a big junior tag team championship match with it's TJP and Akira, right? So they could actually have a big match with them at the Dome. I think that'd be awesome. Or I don't know if that match would actually make the Dome because
that'll make the Dome
huge this year. You think
the Dome is? I think it will make the Dome this year because it might open. It won't open like the Rambo will open or something like that. I think it could be the second match, and because again, New Japan kind of books traditional, like where the card gets better as it goes up. It's very old school book, so I think you could see that. And Bullet Club United Empire has been a big theme through the company this year, and I think it'd be a good match. The Dome is going to be wild this year, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah! Another big story that we will talk about on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/FightGameMedia. And we have a little bit of Impact news, but JD and we're going to riff on all the news happening in pro wrestling because there's lots of big stories going around. Impact news is kind of slow right now, so we're going to just riff for a little while. Make sure you get that Patreon content. Moose then attacked Bhupinder Gujar backstage, telling him to leave a message to Impact Digital Media Champion Joe Hendry. And then we cut to another vignette with Delirious in his delirious language, which was subtitled, and the subtitles were he was challenging Eddie Edwards to a match later this evening. And I think that was supposed to be the main event of the night was a Delirious and Eddie Edwards, but they got bumped.
My feeling. My feelings on Delirious. I actually think he used to run Ring of Honor booking meetings in the voice. It's way funnier if you imagine it that way.
It was probably more coherent than his booking. And then next we go to the repackaged, the new and improved Khan, who used to be called Connor in WWE, member of the Ascension. He's the same gimmick, same guy, same look.
Bold statement of you, man, to say it's better. But yes, continue.
No, it's same gimmick, same everything. I saw a picture of him floating around over the weekend because he was at the Impact did their IPWF show, like their spoof on 80s wrestling. That show was over the weekend. There's a picture of him kind of like dressed like Demolition, but with the Demolition mask. And I'm like, they should just do that. He actually looks kind of like that's a crazy look. Maybe they should do that because right now he kind of just looks like a military veteran who's like cutting promos from the front seat of his truck, talking about how much he hates the Democrats. Like he just looks like one of those guys, right? So maybe we should cover his fucking face up and do something different with him.
I mean, that's kind of what old Triple H did with him, God, nearly a decade ago. I mean, sure, that's a great comparison, by the way. I'm going to use that somewhere. That's a really good one. Yeah. You remember, you know what this? Do you know what looking at Khan makes me think? God, I miss Joe Doring.
Yeah. I mean, man, prayers out to Joe Doring, man. I hope he's okay. But,
what a downgrade.
I know, yeah. It's like Joe Doring on Wish, because so the match wasn't bad. They were telling a story. Fine. Big Khan got the victory. Actually, he got Diener distracted Callahan, and then Khan hit him with a power slam. He did botch one of the moves. I think it was a spine buster. He botched. Like they just were on the same page. For the most part, it was fine. I'm actually glad because like, hey, look, these are the guys that you're gonna get right now. People that aren't on WWE or AEW's radar. So you got to go with the horses you have. And this is one of the guys. And so if you're going to go with him and you need to make him into something, he's got to get victories. And so you got to give him victories over your named opponent, your named stars. So they're going to try to build something here. So go with it. Look, it's not that interesting to me, but I see what they're doing.
You know, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. For months on this show, we said they got to do something different with Violent by Design. They got to do something different with Violent by Design. You know, this Violent by Design thing is just played out. We need to do something different. Well, they gave it to us. Here it is. Yeah. Something different.
Yeah.
And worse.
Yeah. Not exactly what I was asking for, guys, but you did give us something different. So I guess I can't complain. Well, I can.
The Impact Monkey's Paw got us.
Yeah. X Division champion Trey Miguel was interviewed backstage with GM Miller regarding defacing the title. So he spray painted the title after he won it at Overdrive. Miguel said that people calling it disrespectful was an interesting choice of words. Miguel nearly spray painted Miller before he was interrupted by Crazy Steve, and then Steve told Miguel that his actions have consequences, and then he's an artist of his own, but he does it in blood. Teasing a match between the two, which I think is set up for this weekend in Florida. So should be on the TV here in the next week or two. So
sure, why not?
Trey Miguel, his heel work is great. I really like what he's doing as a heel.
I agree.
Yeah, and Crazy Steve is a babyface that you beat. So there you go. I like it. Impact. Oh,
no, say better Crazy Steve than Taurus.
Yeah. Josh Alexander came to the ring in complete gear. He said he took some time to think about how he wanted to respond to Bully Ray's antics at Overdrive. Alexander said that he would have an open challenge for the title, but said that he is the only guy to face for the title. Alexander called out Bully Ray, telling him that he would have his match on Hard to Kill unless coming to the ring is what he was afraid of. Bully Ray was backstage looking at photos from Overdrive where he was attacking Alexander and his wife, and said that he would not allow the match to happen now, as he made the promise, and he keeps up to his promise. He lives up to his word to have it at Hard to Kill. But instead, Mike Bailey just randomly answers the challenge, and then they called for a referee, and now we have an impromptu world title match between Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey. And look, no storyline, no nothing, but Josh Alexander put a challenge out there, and Mike Bailey wanted a piece, so he came to the ring. I dig it, man. And then so go. What were your thoughts on Alexander promo and then Bully Ray kind of ducking him?
I hate you know my thoughts on this. No one in the world can convince me this is good. I know we have to push who we have, but do we have to have Bully Ray? I still,
yeah.
You know, it's still not good.
It's who's available.
I guess this was fun. It's zero storyline, but I mean, like,
sometimes you don't need it.
Thank you. I was trying to find the worst way. I was trying to find the best way to phrase that, but you took the words right out of my mouth. It's like, I think it's starting to become like it's overplayed, the amount of like, I saw some people like, well, these people can't have a match. There's no story between them. Like, look, you can have a match. Not every match needs a story. Like, there should be storylines.
Yes.
Right? Everything should be building towards something. But we got this WWE brain where if two people on a program, they have to wrestle every week on television. And no, it doesn't have to be. In fact, it should not be that way. Like, especially when the marquee says wrestling. Right?
Yeah. Well, and I do have to correct you there, JD. There was a story. Josh Alexander issued a challenge.
Which is all you need.
And Mike Bailey was available and wanted to test himself against the world heavyweight champion. So he answered the challenge, try to make a name for himself. You know what I mean?
I have zero qualm with any of this.
Yeah. So we on this show, we did take Impact and AEW specifically, because those are the two promotions we watch the most, of putting out good matches in lieu of storylines, in lieu of angles. So you have to have both, right? But you don't always have to have, it doesn't have to be one or the other or whatever. I think there's an active storyline going on, and Bully Ray ducked the challenge. And then all of a sudden, Mike Bailey answered the challenge because guess what? The World Heavyweight Champion's in the ring, and I think I'm the best, and I'm going to go prove that I'm the best. And he came out to the ring to accept that challenge. I think that's a good story. I think that's a good little side story. We didn't need an angle. We didn't need heat. We needed two guys wanting to wrestle for the World Heavyweight Championship, and sometimes that's what you get.
I love it. I think you're right. I think we saw, by the same token, we talked about, we watched AEW and Impact. Those are our promotions. Last night on Dynamite, you saw Samoa Joe wrestle Darby Allin, and people lost their minds. They lost their minds. Why is this match happening? Why is one of the most over guys in the company getting a title match? And it's fine. It was a great match. It was I said it in our group chat. So this is the first time Joe's looked like Joe in years.
It was the best Joe match in probably 5 years.
I agree 100%. Like him and Darby, because Darby's really good at taking ass kickings, and Samoa Joe is incredible at giving ass kickings. So they really work perfectly together. And I think that match did more to help build Joe, and they also work Wardlow in, so it becomes another chapter onto two stories. That's how wrestling goes, man. It's not just who's spilled coffee on who backstage, or who's trying to do demon possessions and stabbing people in the heart and whatever. like this can be, it doesn't have to be.
You can have all of it. You can have all of it, right?
Maybe not all of it. Maybe not all of it. We don't need to stick on all of it, but I mean, like this was great. This was both instances was just good wrestling on TV with a purpose. Like, again, it's wrestling. Yeah. I can beat you. I want to beat you. I don't like you. That's all I need. Why don't you like me? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the story of it was it's impromptu. So you thought you were going to get Eddie Edwards versus Delirious, but this impromptu match happened, right? And so now and then it's going on for a while, and then halfway through the match, like, hey, look, these guys went over. These guys are at the 30-minute mark. We don't have time for Eddie Edwards and Delirious. We got to push that match to next week. They actively told you that in the match, which I thought was fantastic. Kind of like what Mid-South used to do with the standby matches.
I was just going to say that. Yes.
So it was classic territory stuff. A challenge was issued. A challenge was accepted. We it's not a pay-per-view, right? So we don't need to build up to this heat, this crescendo. It's a weekly television. So they had the match. So I loved it. And then, of course, these are two of the best fucking wrestlers on the planet. I love both of these guys so much. I make fun of Mike Bailey for his promos because he sounds kind of like a weenie. That's what I called him last week. He kind of sounds like a weenie. But goddamn is he good, and goddamn is Josh Alexander good. And these guys just like halfway through, you're like, oh my gosh, are these guys going to keep going? Man, they went 59 minutes and 40 seconds. Just had an absolute classic. If you're only going to watch one thing from this show, watch this match. It's actually going to be released tomorrow. So probably by the time you're listening to this, it'll have been released on the Impact YouTube channel, commercial free. So without all the commercial edits, it's great. I have one criticism of it, and that's it. The crowd fucking sucked. The crowd was dead for most of the match. They picked it up there at the end. The crowd in Louisville is completely burnt out. This was the second night in the city. Impact, look, these shows are taped, okay? And I typically wouldn't be an advocate for this, but for this promotion right now, especially with all the different things they're going through, it's time to get crowdsharing.wave and hit that button in the background. Hire somebody that's good at that stuff and make it flow up and down through the matches like you did in the empty arena days.
I was going to say, we have the file.
Right. And just kind of pipe it in on top of the crowd noise that's already there. Just make it in the background. Make it just a little bit louder because it was noticeably quiet in the arena. And don't do it too loud to where you can't hear the strikes, because I think that's a big part of Bailey and Alexander's games. You want to hear the strikes, but there was only 200 people there, and they were mostly sitting on their hands the whole time.
It was like watching Japanese clap crowd stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. You're right. WWE does it, and here's a spoiler: they've been doing it for 30 years. Like
Saturday night's main event is like a perfect example. If they want to know how to do it correctly and do it where it actually looks and sounds nice, call up old Dickie Ebersol and watch an old Saturday night's main event. They did it perfectly on those shows.
Yeah, it can be done. Like it's
Yeah.
not that hard. Like I agree. Like especially I think we talk about this a lot. We tape these things, right?
Yeah.
Tape. Listen to me. We film these things ahead of time. You know, these things are stored and edited. They're on tape delay. You can tweak it. You can sweeten it, as the term means. Like, this is a great match. And again, I don't know why. I'm a wrestling fan. I love going to watch wrestling. I don't understand why you go to shows and just sit there. I don't get it. I watch it. It's not just Impact, AEW, WWE. You see it sometimes too. You see a crowd and like, yeah, I can't wait to go see some wrestling.
And then they're just sitting there like they're at the movies.
Yeah, like make some freaking noise, man. You're at a wrestling show. See, I'm raising my son right. Taught him that when you're at a wrestling show, you get up, you go crazy, right? You cheer, you be loud, you be obnoxious. We're wrestling fans, damn it. We have no manners. We're not supposed to.
Yeah, and typically I would blame the wrestlers for the crowd being quiet, but you can't do that in this instance. These guys tore the house down. They had an instant classic, one of the better matches in Impact history. Definitely one of the top TV matches in Impact history. Absolutely. I don't know that if it's even going to get a star rating, but I get the feeling it's going to be at that 4.5 to 4.75 mark. I don't think it gets the full 5 because the audience was too quiet.
I don't know if
the crowd.
I don't know if it gets over 4.25 because of the crowd. To be honest with you, because they grade on a curve. Like
they do.
Grade on a curve.
If the crowd's into it, that could propel it up. If there's crowd heat, and there was no real crowd heat, and it's not because it wasn't story yet, whatever. These are two of the most popular guys in the company, but the crowd was just dead. They're burnt out. This was like their third or fourth time in the year of going to Louisville, and this was their second night in a row of being there, and this was the very last night on the show on the second night. It's rough when you're Impact to do that.
It is. I mean, I understand you're saving money by doing these things, but you hurt the product a little bit. And I guess again, does it matter? Does Anthem care if this match gets 4.25, 4.75, whatever? No. But it hurts my television viewing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Well, and I think it would just help everything. And they don't have to do it for every match, but for these big matches that they want, especially now that they're going to release it on YouTube, they'll probably put it on Facebook and all their different media, social media. Sweeten it. There's no harm in that. Just sweeten it. You know what I mean?
It's TV. Like the moment you edit from one shot to another, you're changing the perceptions of reality. You put a light up, right? The moment you light something, you're reshaping what it actually looks like. So what's the difference? Right? You're adding music? Like, why not? I mean, it's disheartening when they don't like try to make things better. That's one of my big complaints about this company. Sometimes I feel like we just don't put, like, on the production end specifically, never on the wrestling end, but on the production end specifically, I feel like we're not always trying.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not always trying. So here I don't want to go blow by blow because this was a 60-minute match, but I'll go to the end here, and then we'll head over to Patreon. So Bailey placed Alexander on the top rope before getting Alexander and going for the flamingo driver, kind of his version of the one-winged angel. But Alexander rolled over and hit a stylish clash before locking in the ankle lock again. I popped huge for this one. Bailey hit up kicks on Alexander's head to break the hold, but Alexander caught Bailey and hit the close your eyes and count to fuck pouch. What the hell is that? It said hit the close. So this is Fightful, by the way. I missed Josiah already. It said hit the close your eyes and count to fuck pile driver on Bailey. I don't know what
is that what
means.
It's called?
I've never heard that.
Me neither.
Alexander hit a series of knee strikes before connecting the C4 spike. Oh, so he's talking about the twisting pile driver.
That's called close your eyes and count to fuck?
I've never heard that.
I've never heard that.
I don't know who this clown that wrote this is.
Are we dorks that we just don't know? Like, is it called that somewhere else?
I've never heard that. That's asinine. All right, Alexander hit a series of knee strikes before connecting the C4 spike. Yeah. And then he had the death stare at this point, and then he hit a second and final C4 spike with 20 seconds left on the clock. At the 50-minute mark is when Penzer started. Be like, with 50 minutes gone by, 10 minutes remaining, he started doing that at the 50-minute mark because of the 60-minute time limit. And I thought that was pretty cool too. Added something to the match. A tired but triumphant Alexander stood tall as the extended broadcast ended. So yeah, they actually went 7 minutes overtime into the New Japan show, and then they cut right to FTR versus Jeff Cobb and what's
Great-O-Khan.
Great O'Khan, the great fucking, I love that guy. Yeah, it went right into that
Yeah.
tag title match. So, one of the all time classic pro wrestling matches on Impact, man. I love this match. I thought it was great.
It reminded me
Good
of the
stuff.
marathon. It reminded me of the marathon match that Josh had with TJP about 18 months ago, something like that. Maybe 2 years.
But I like this better because
too.
you didn't know when it was going to end, and I like that they did it in the middle of the show, and it was just kind of like, oh wow, we had no idea this was going to happen, so we have to just stick with it. I like, because with Iron Man matches, don't get me wrong, I still like Iron Man. I know some people don't like them, but you don't really get into the match like the last 15 minutes, right?
Right.
Because you know that at 60 minutes that's when the match is over, or you can get overtime. With this, the match could end at any moment. To me, that's more intense. To me, that's more exciting. Personal preference.
I don't disagree at all. I think this was a good call. Again, something happened on the show that necessitated this, but it worked. It's I'm kind of, I don't know if glad is the word I use, but like I like the surprise. Again, you and I have gone back and forth on our love for 1984 Mid-South, and that's something they would do is they would have standby matches that you would have to go to sometimes because we have a standby match ready to go, or Ric Flair and Sting was the same way, although we all knew that was going to go 45, and like, we're putting this match in the show right now, but we have 2 matches to go after in case. Okay, whatever, guys. This was a pleasant surprise because it's not uncommon in this stage to see the world champion show up in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
Right? We see it a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, hey guys, that's going to do it for the recap portion of the show here on the free feed. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're watching us on YouTube, on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel, head over to Patreon, and we're going to keep the conversation going there. Head over to patreon.com/fightgamemedia for more content. And yep, that's going to do it for us. Patreon, stick around.